Welcome to the Expat Experience, your essential guide to relocating, living, and thriving in San Carlos, Mexico. Join seasoned real estate professional Robert DeForge as he pulls back the curtain on seamlessly transitioning from dreamer to doer. Whether you're eyeing retirement bliss, seeking the perfect work from anywhere setup, or hunting for your ideal vacation escape, this podcast is your compass to navigating the exciting journey to San Carlos, Mexico living. Get ready to turn your relocation dreams into sun-soaked reality.
So, Enrique, welcome to the Expat Experience. I'm so glad to have you on the show, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Could you tell us a little bit about the Pearl Farm?
See, Rob, thank you very much for the invitation. It was an honor for me to receive it. I am very glad to be talking with you here. The Pearl Farm that we have here in the Sea of Cortez is special because we have a unique pearl oyster species. And we started with the Pearl Farm when we were students back in 1991. So it started being our weekend project. We were undergrads then. And when we finished that part of the school and we wanted to enter the graduate program, we wanted to do it with our own project of pearl farming. In those days, people didn't want us to be disappointed. So they told us a lot about, but you have to have like a secondary plan if it doesn't work. But we were young. And that innocence is a blessing. And we thought, no, this will be super easy for us. Don't worry. And we just went ahead. We are very, very lucky and very grateful because we entered a community, a university, where there is professors that say, look, guys, if you help me with my project, I help you with your project, and I can take you to, for example, we went to a conference in 1994 to Hawaii. It was the best pearl meeting ever. And we went there because a professor said yes, let's help these guys. The director of the school helped us to look, this is how you can have some financial support because you are not working while you're in grad school. The director of the graduate program also helped us with other things. So the key of taking this from an idea when we were students to the business that is today was only possible because of the help of a lot of people, the interest and the goodwill of a lot of people. So you can say that this project, of course, my friends and I, we did put the work, right? 7 days a week. So we put a lot of effort into it. But we have to acknowledge and thank all the people that put a little grain of sand into this so that it could grow. This thing did not happen isolated because of something I wanted to do. No, this is something that happened in a certain environment. It was an institution working as it should. And there comes a time in 1994 when we had a lot of good results from our scientific research around the pearl oysters. But now it was time to face on the production issue. Because, for example, my master's thesis was on the reproduction of in nature, in the natural environment of pearl oysters. And that's all very important. It is the basis for what you can do later. But it was time to face the production issue. And look, the president of the university, which is Tec de Monterrey. It is a big university here in Mexico. They have like 27 campuses or campi, depending on how you make the plural. And he decided to put money into this. Like he said, let's make a pilot project of the pearl farm that these guys have in mind. So the school did put money for us to start developing a pearl farm. Small then, and we worked a lot. We had a lot of failures. It has been a constant in our project. Small hiccups in production, but that was January 1st, 1996, that we started the pilot project with, it was only one worker then, but with all the equipment, professional equipment that we needed, and not so much all the things that we improvised to start and do the research parts. The same year, we already had a lot of half pearls or mabe pearls. That is the pearl that grows attached to the shell. And by the year 2000, we had our first commercial harvest. That means not small harvest, but a big harvest of the two kinds of pearls. The round one that grows inside the belly of the pearl oyster, and the mabe pearl that grows attached to the shell. So we have these two different types of pearls. And we have been doing pearl farming ever since. So that's how it all started.
How does your pearl farm differ from other pearl farms around the world, other locations that do what you do?
Okay. First of all, the most evident thing is color. We have our pearl oyster makes the layers of mother of pearl very thin. That makes them translucent. There is an effect known as interference of light of thin layer. So this interference of light makes part of the light go through the first layer and then bounce back. And that can create color in white mother of pearl. So our pearls may be purple or green with red, or different combinations of colors because of this effect. Because our pearl oyster makes the layers of mother of pearl not only thin, but very regular as well. So that's one thing that you will notice the moment you come across these pearls. Like you enter our store here and you see pearls that are not white. So they are of different colors. That's the first thing that you will notice. It is also interesting that these pearls, under ultraviolet light, they glow. They have a fluorescence that is pink to red. That's a lot of fun, and it's useful for gemologists because pearls from here you can find in treasures from the Russians, for example. That particular case is because Russian whalers would come and visit all the Pacific, all the way to Baja California. And there they would come in contact with fishermen who would trade pearls for example, goat skins. And these Russians, they had other things to trade. So there were a lot of pearls that ended up in Moscow, for example. Besides color and the ultraviolet fluorescence, well, and maybe the reason behind all this is that we have a pearl oyster of a different genus from all the pearl oysters that are around the world. So it is not only a different species, but it is different enough to be a whole genus apart. So the pearl oysters that you would find in Japan, India, or the Persian Gulf or the Caribbean, they belong to the genus Pinctada. That's the pearl oyster that makes both the black pearls in Tahiti or the white pearls in Australia or any of those. And we have a pearl oyster from the genus Theria. It has, Theria means wing because sometimes they look like a penguin's wing. Um, and our pearl oyster is a fighter. That's how the Japanese describe the two different types of genus. They say that this is like the yin and yang, that their pearl oyster is passive and feminine and nice, and that our pearl oyster is horrible and it keeps fighting back. Because our pearl oyster is very sensitive. If you do not operate very, very carefully, it starts trying to close down on you. To operate a pearl oyster, you put a wedge in it so that it doesn't grab your fingers in the middle of the operation. But our pearl oyster is so sensitive that it will rather crack its shell than stop fighting. And so that limits the amount of people that can do the operation. You need people that even they have to have certain skill with their hands, but the most important thing is that they have to have this empathy for an animal that it's very different, because what you see has nothing to do with you, but you have to have this sensibility for the pearl oyster, that it is alive, that it is sensible, and that it will react with strength to any touch of cold steel in the sensible parts.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the operation entails? A little more detail?
See, the operation is a surprise for me every time I do it, because it is a graft tissue operation. The pearl oyster has all the shellfish in the world have an organ that we don't have, that it's the mantle. The mantle is the organ that makes the shell, and it has to be next to the shell to make that construction. So when you open a clam, there is always a skin-like organ next to the shell. That is the mantle. And it is next to it to construct the shell. In the case of the pearl oyster, the mantle is special because it makes mother of pearl lining on the inside. Natural pearls occur in the mantle. The most common cause, or the only cause for which I have evidence, is the attack of parasites. Different animals that can drill through the shell. There are animals that can drill through rocks, so the shell is nothing for them. They drill the shell, and once they reach the inside, they cut the flesh open to put eggs inside, or they try to eat the pearl oyster. And the pearl oyster, the only means of defense it has is to coat those intruders with layers of mother of pearl. So sometimes we will find a shell with a mound, a blister on the inside that tells you the story. This pearl oyster was attacked by another animal. But sometimes the mantle of the pearl oyster is hurt, or the parasite can leave eggs inside the mantle, and then when the pearl oyster makes the coating of mother of pearl, is all around these eggs, or all around this body part of the parasite, and then you have a natural pearl starting to be formed. So natural pearls are formed inside the mantle, and they grow and grow and grow there. But for us, this was of no use exactly as I described it, because the mantle of Pteria sterna is very thin. You cannot put anything in there. When you lift gently the mantle, it's like rice paper. You can see light go through. You cannot see what's on the other side, but light goes through. So what we do is, and to do this, we read a lot about how everybody else, what was thought that the others did, because in those days it was not common. Like right now, you can find the operation in TikTok. But in those days, it was kind of a secret, and you have to travel to universities to do your research. For example, we went a couple of times to Arizona University in Tucson, the University of Arizona, to do research. So we learned about the basics, and this is what we do. We make an incision in the belly of the pearl oyster. Why the belly? Why not the mantle? Because the belly has volume. It has a lot of internal organs inside. There is space there. Then we make a tunnel. A tunnel to put a tiny sphere of 6 millimeters. This sphere is known as the nucleus, and it has to be exactly the same material, mother of pearl. So you're putting a mother of pearl bead inside the pearl oyster, in the belly, at the end of a tunnel, so that it won't go out if the pearl oyster makes one of its strong contractions. But together with the nucleus, you have to make a graft. That means taking your scissors. You cut a tiny square out of the mantle. A tiny square means 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 millimeters. That's a small piece of mantle that you cut out of there, and you put it exactly where you left the nucleus. It has to be in contact with the nucleus. What is, I mentioned before that it was always surprising for me to do this operation, because I cannot believe that that tiny piece of mantle that I just did cut is actually alive, remains alive. And once I put it in a different portion, it reacts defensively to the foreign body that is our nucleus of mother of pearl, and starts reproducing. It produces more and more cells until it coats completely the intruder, and then it starts depositing mother of pearl on the inside to protect the pearl oyster. So that's what is not, for me, it's not intuitive. For me, it's a surprise every time I carry the mantle like this, with a lot of care. That's what I want to say. With a lot of care, I carry the mantle, and I put it next to the nucleus in less than 30 seconds. Once you have the pearl oyster out, the best you can do is finish with the pearl oyster in 30 seconds. Remember that we're talking about an operation that I do outside of the water. So I take the pearl oyster out of its bucket. I put it in a stand in front of my eyes, so that I am not crouching, but I have it at the level of my eyes. And the gills start to dry. You can have a pearl oyster alive for 24 hours, provided it is not hot. So summer is out of the question, but in winter, think winter. If it is cold and you put it in a humid place, it can take oxygen from the air, as long as the gills are wet. So, for example, if you put them in a box, and in that box you put algae in the bottom, or maybe wood chips submerged in water, so that the whole ambient in the ice box is completely humid, the pearl oyster can stay alive and keep receiving oxygen, no problem. But in the stand where I put it to do the operation, it is not as humid, and it is important to do the operation with a flow, so that you're not in a hurry, but that you finish fast, so that you can put it back in the water. That's the procedure that makes our pearl farm be still the only pearl oyster, the only pearl farm in the world that produces pearls out of this species. The only pearl oyster farm that is commercially successful in the whole American continent. because we have some of the most special pearls. The most famous pearls of all times is La Peregrina, and it comes from the American Pacific. Maybe Panama, maybe La Paz, but it comes from the American Pacific. Another species that we have that is Pintada mazatlanica. So that's the operation, Robert.
Now, from the inception, this very delicate operation that occurs, how long from the operation to harvest, the time frame?
The minimum has to be 18 months, and that's a good time frame. But this is like sending children to the school. You give them the same opportunity, and some make the best of it, and others are super lazy, and they just put a little thin coating of mother of pearl. So it is very important that after the 18 months of pearl coating, when you are harvesting, that you separate good from not enough good. This is important for the pearls to be long-lasting. Cheap pearls are cheap because either now or for some time they sold everything out, and some of the pearls were peeling, and that's recognized as bad quality. So it is very important that when we harvest, the day of the harvest, we separate. Only pearls that reached 8 millimeters will be considered as good in an average day. There are special groups of smaller pearl oysters or bigger pearl oysters to do bigger or smaller. But sometimes you put a 6 millimeter nucleus and you obtain a 6.5 millimeter pearl. It is not enough. So 6.5, 7, 7.5, not good. It has to be at least 8. And then the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, those are good pearls that we keep. And the others, we don't. We use them for other purposes. Or, for example, every time we harvest, this is something very that we did when we went fishing. Since we are going to take something, we always give something. And sometimes we even throw 10 pesos coins or something, things like that. It is, I know it's silly, but that's and for a pearl harvest, we go with older pearls that are nice, but that do not have enough coating of mother of pearl, and we make an offering and a ceremony before each harvest, and we hope for the best. And then we throw our pearls as this offering I mentioned to, and they fall they splash in the surface of the ocean, and then they fall to the bottom. These pearls will end up being recycled. Old calcium carbonate, be it bone or pearl, is recycled in the bottom of the ocean by bacteria. They make it soluble again so that it enters the water, and from the water, other animals that are building bone or mother of pearl can take those elements and use them in their own production.
What role does the oyster, the pearl oyster, play in the environment? What's its job in the environment other than you making pearls?
Well, first of all, it is food for other animals in the wild. That's why we keep them inside these net baskets to protect them from, especially those fishes that have solid teeth, like they are, like all the teeth are fused into one or two to give them strength. Think of manta rays. They have very strong bite, and they can crush pearl oysters, for example. Also, the triggerfish, they have a very strong bite, and they can also break the shells of pearl oysters. So they are in the trophic chain. They, together with other shellfish, they provide the service of filtering the water. but they don't do this alone. So they are part of a big group of that includes clams, mussels, and other types of edible oysters. They together do this filtering of seawater that reduces the amount of organic matter and regulates the, we call them flowering of microalgae that sometimes we have here in the Sea of Cortez. We have days of very high productivity, but we do not have lethal red tides, because the shellfish do very well their work of filtering enough of it so that it reestablishes the good conditions.
Now, when you harvest the pearls, what do you do with them? What are the most popular products that you produce from these pearls?
When you harvest your pearls, luckily you don't have to do more things. Like, no, you don't have to do polishing or cutting or anything. You use them as they come out of nature. That's why the pearl is the oldest gem of mankind. And the oldest of them all are Cortez pearls, found in Isla Espíritu Santo. Isla Espíritu Santo is in front of La Paz. A group of archaeologists found there a group of 14 pearls worked. So they make what you would call a flute in an arrowhead. That means you make markings in the pearl so that they could tie knots in them and use them as ornaments. So the oldest pearls of mankind are Cortez pearls. They are a group of 14 pearls between 8 and 12 millimeters. So that's good size pearls. There's no older pearl than those. But going back to what you really asked, once you harvest your pearls, you go to sell them to gem shows. That's the first thing that you do when you have a pearl farm. We have been to gem shows in Europe, Hong Kong. We used to do Hong Kong 3 times a year, only because we couldn't believe it, that the best gem show in the world is 6 hours from here in Tucson, Arizona. It was so close. We couldn't believe it. We have to know. We have to go everywhere. Just to go back to the beginning, the first show that we did ever was in '97 in Tucson, and we have been going there every year. It is the United Nations of gems. It is the best place to be. It is incredible to go there. So that's your first the first way to sell your pearls. But we also have a couple of stores here now there are 2 where we sell the pearls either loose or mounted in jewelry, because there are lots of jewelers in the different parts of Mexico, and we even work with people in Washington State, in Vancouver, but in Washington State, not the other Vancouver. And so we have jewelry from different from different parts, and we have a store where we sell earrings, rings, pendants of these pearls of different colors.
Enrique, can you show us some examples of the pearls that you produce?
See, I have here a pearl. Well,
that's a big one.
See, what we can see is that it is not white. It looks too illuminated, but let me get it closer and spin it a little bit. What we are looking at here is a lot of iridescence. The way the color is produced here is the same as in abalone. So those that know abalone will know the kind of colors we are looking at here, because it's the same effect, interference of light with thin layer. So this is a very nice pearl. I will send you a picture later. But I also want to show you another one. This is a nice pearl also.
Yes.
Let's see it this side. What are we looking at?
Okay.
It is a pearl cut in half. So we are looking at the nucleus in the center and then the coating of mother of pearl around it. So the white part that you're looking at is the nucleus that I put inside. And then 18 months later, all those layers are added, the ones that you're looking at there. So this is interesting to compare with a natural pearl. For example, this one. Can you see how there is no white nucleus in the center, but the layers keep going on and on and on and on? It looks like it is hollow, but it is not. It is just that this pearl oyster makes the nacre so translucent that sometimes it is transparent, completely transparent. That's why it looks hollow. So this is a natural pearl, not a nice one. But it is a good natural pearl with a thick coating of a very good size. So do you see? This is the natural pearl.
Yes.
Pearls in Greek, they are called like margaritas, because margarita is the same word for onion. And it comes because of these concentric layers that go outwards like this. A couple more pearls, they are like this.
Beautiful.
See, it is difficult to see the color because they reflect the light and it looks white in the center, but they can have very, very nice colors. Of course, there is a wide variety. Our pearls are all different. When we make earrings, it is always a compromise between two pearls that kind of like each other. There are this is not like the white pearl that you see one and you've seen them all. In this case, each pearl is slightly different, be it size, shape, color, especially color. Color makes a lot of different pearls.
Do you have any plans to have any other offerings or any changes coming in the future at the Pearl Farm? Any type of innovation that you see coming in the future?
We will have to. We have no choice because our world, our natural world is changing. I have daily temperatures for the last 30 years in the same place at the same time of every day. And I can clearly see that the last 10 years have been much warmer than the previous 20. So you see, the way I do this is that I cluster together all the data from the first 10 years, and then the second 10 years, and then the third 10 years. And I can see that the first 10 and the second 10 years are almost identical. That many points make for very good averages, and they are almost identical. And then I can see that from 2014 to 2023, the averages all of a sudden jumps. So this pearl oyster that we grow, another difference that it has with other pearl oysters is that it likes more temperate waters. Our pearl oyster has an affinity for the cooler, let's say, the cooler months that we have here. They reproduce in winter. You can operate them in winter. That's when they are comfortable. In summer, they suffer it. They really do. So these warmer years means that they will be close to sublethal, and it will not be convenient. So we have to come up with something like soon, because our world is changing. The world will not be over there. I just come from swimming, and there are plenty of fish out there. It's just that it's different from what it was before. For example, in this same bay, every winter we used to have this seaweed, sargassum-like, and there were forests of that. But they need a cold winter every year. In 1997, we had a very strong El Nino, and they never fully recovered. And now that it is even warmer, the all the forests are of super tiny algae. So our natural world is changing, and we have to consider a lot of things. For example, in this moment while we are talking here, because it's still kind of warm in the water. The pearl oysters, I have them in a deep water station. You see, that's something that that didn't have to do 30 years ago. Why a deeper water? Because the studies have shown that there are some currents of cooler water that show all every now and then, and it gives them a breath, an opportunity to rest a little bit. They do not like the hot months. So yes, we have to come up with something.
I forgot to ask, can you tell us where the listeners can locate your stores if they want to purchase some pearls?
Well, first of all, we are here in Guaymas, San Carlos, because this is our the place where we thrive. But also, you can find the pearls on our website, that is perlas.com.mx or cortezpearls.mx. And we have different domains, Mexican pearls, but the way to look for them is Perlas del Mar de Cortez. That in Spanish we kind of like the whole long statement of, and our pride is the place, is the territory that makes them. So yes, you can see a lot of pictures and videos of pearls or the operation going to this website, perlas.com.mx.
Thank you. And you have a physical store location at Marina San Carlos, and there's one in Guaymas as well?
See, the Pearl Farm. Where the Pearl Farm is, we also have a store. And there's another thing I want to tell you. There are two groups of people that started buying our pearls, well, three, from the very beginning. One of them was people from the Marina Armada de México. That is like the Navy in the US. But a very important group was Americans and Canadians from San Carlos. I remember clearly when we were not selling pearls, they would come a lot to the campus, the university campus, because there were events and there were things, and they were like, "What are you doing? And why don't you sell them? And sell me something. How much?" And it is not only an anecdote. It is an important part of our beginnings. It was having people interested, and also, of course, our first pearl was people from Guaymas that still remember days when their families were involved in something to do with the pearl fishery. That's very old now, but because the ban has been in place since 1939. But those were our first customers, people from Guaymas, that in their family there were still tales about those days of the fishery. So those three groups helped us to realize and to make come true the potential of the Pearl Farm as a business here.
So if the listeners are interested in upcoming events and tours and things, they can go to the website to find out the dates and times?
See, we give a tour that has a very clear explanation about how to make pearls, with a lot of things to show to you, where you can see the workers doing that. We have a very good tour, and it opens from Monday to Sunday, so there is no excuse. If you want to see how pearl farming is done, you can come here and take the tour.
What would you say is the most rewarding thing regarding the pearl farm in your experience?
from the beginning, this is something that you are young and you make these big commitments. One of our commitments were regarding labor and nature, and we made these commitments, and we were true to our word, and that's very important for us, for my partners and me. And that has given us some satisfaction. So, for example, we are a pearl farm that has earned a lot of distinctives that not every pearl farm can have. Among them, we have fair trade gems, sustainable pearls, and we have a recognition from Profepa. It is an agency here in Mexico that is devoted to the protection of the environment. They gave us a distinction that we can use in our promotion of best practices of protection of the environment while being completely in order with all the legal things that Mexico requires you to do. So that has been our pride, that all the things that we said out of innocence, that commitment, we made it come true without a doubt. So those two things, labor and environment, were done by the ethics that we had when we were young. So that's the most rewarding thing about the pearl farm here.
Do you have one story that pops into your mind regarding the pearl farm?
It was difficult for people to believe that we could do it. And for example, once returning from the Tucson Gem Show, the Mexican customs agents decided to keep our pearls because Mexico does not produce pearls. So it tells you that it was really a surprise for a lot of people. Think the 90s, the beginning of the 2000s. Everybody was so sure that Mexico couldn't grow their own pearls that it created a lot of things. I remember Japanese taking the pearls in their hands and saying, "This not pearl. This not pearl. I studied pearls. This not pearl." So it is that disbelief. It was a lot of fun. Do not keep the negative idea in your hand. It's just that for a time, in those days, we were like the new kids on the block with pearls of unseen colors then, and it was a shock. But this custom agents and the disbelief that they had that we could do this, it was shocking. So that's an anecdote, but there are plenty, because having a different kind of pearl has led to invitations for us to go to Paris. I have been in Doha, in Qatar, in the Emirates, both Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So it has meant lots of invitations to Chicago Responsible Jeweler Conference. It has taken us to many parts of the world, and we are grateful for that.
Well, I'm glad that you proved the doubters wrong, because they are beautiful pearls, and it's a fascinating story. And I'm grateful that we have this operation right here in our backyard and people can enjoy it. And thank you very much for being on the program, Enrique. We're grateful that you took the time to be with us, and thank you very much.
Robert, looking forward to seeing you around. Maybe one weekend we will come across each other in the marina. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a pleasure to remember all these things with you, and thank you for your audience for the time that they for enjoying me here. Thank you.
We appreciate you joining us. Visit expatexperiencepodcast.com for more practical tips and insights on making your move to paradise. We're here to help navigate the process of relocating to San Carlos every step of the way. Start your journey toward living the dream in Mexico.